One Piece episode 1071 has aired, and Luffy Gear 5 vs. Kaido has begun, and for the most part, there's a lot of positive reception to this. However, there is also a bit of a divide I've seen. It seems like some people really did not like the episode at all. However, that seems to be a minority at least. Like, the most common critical comments that I've seen are more like, it was awesome, but there were a few things that people had some issues with. For example, on the Reddit discussion of this episode, one of the most upvoted comments reads, "I liked the episode, but it was really weird how they repeated certain animations. One was repeated 3 times. And it was also weird that they didn't use the Luffy Awakened OST or the Luffy Awakened Performance OST. Being said, I give this episode an 8 out of 10, but it is nowhere as close as episode 1015 and the Zoro vs. King episode." Another comment here talking about how many people have pointed out potential issues, however, still overall greatly enjoying the episode. They should have moved that Hiyori half to the previous episode somehow. Leave this one entirely for Gear 5. They knew how hype and important this episode would be. Yes, I knew that's how it was in the manga, but it just killed the whole vibe. Plus repeated scenes, flashbacks, usual suspects. Yes, the animation was cool and flashy, but I've noticed the usual syndrome of being hard to follow and not very comprehensible. It tries to be fluid with a lot of motion, but it just creates a visual mess. Overall, I was left a bit disappointed, craving for more. But still, what a historic moment. We're finally here after all this waiting. Also, where are the soundtracks for the Wano OST, Luffy Awakening, and Awakened Performance? I was waiting to hear those all this time. Those are just a couple of examples of some of the most upvoted comments in that discussion thread, and as you can see, it's not that people are really hating it. They seem to have enjoyed it, just a little bit of criticism here and there. And let me know what you think about this in the comments, what your opinion is on this too. Personally, for me, I think the manga did do it a little better, which is interesting, because, like, obviously, there's some like Looney Tunes inspiration and stuff there. People are talking about the Toon Force and all that, and we'll talk about that actually a little more in this video later on. But it's interesting because taking inspiration from Looney Tunes, stuff like that a little bit, you'd almost think that it would work better in animation. But I do think the manga pulled it off a little better for whatever reason. Not that I'm throwing shade at the anime, kind of like people in that thread talked about, you know, it was awesome to see the anime. Just certain things I think fit the manga a little better. So much so that there's actually even a like fan, I don't know the technical name for this, but someone took the manga panels and made it into a video where they like edit the panels and they added like sound effects and music. The video I'm talking about specifically is this one actually, Luffy vs. Kaido Full Fight Manga by Pieced Up. And I thought that dude did a great job on that video. Consider checking it out if you haven't. Like, I almost wonder if some of the people who worked on the anime took some inspiration from that video, specifically with like the sound effects that were used here and there. Because it's like the same sort of cartoony sound effects. Although, obviously, as mentioned, with the Toon Force or like Looney Tunes inspiration, it's totally reasonable that the anime team just thought of using similar sound effects because, like, well, that's the obvious connection, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of fanboying right now, I guess. I like Gear 5. I like the anime. I like the manga. Again, I'm not throwing shade at the anime. Just a lot of people are talking about this right now and comparing the two. So I'm just letting you know, my humble opinion, I guess so far, I'm on the side of the manga being a little better. But to be fair, we haven't seen the full fight in the anime yet. And, like, if you have seen the full fight, you know some of the craziest stuff hasn't even happened yet. Like, I don't want to spoil people, but there's like 2 things that Luffy does in particular that I find just so freaking awesome. So like reference them without spoiling you. Luffy does something to Kaido, which is like so immensely disrespectful and hilarious. That's going to be funny to see in anime. And then like Luffy does something just so freaking awesome that has to do with the sky. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Like, both those parts of the fight are just crazy to me. I can't wait to see that in the anime. And you know what? Just because I really want to talk about it, I will actually just tell you, if you still don't know what I'm talking about and you like want to know, I'll tell you after the outro in this video, the 2 things that are just so crazy to me. And I'll give one more final like warning before I say it too, so don't worry. But yeah, let's keep chatting for now. So, you know, there's a little bit of divide as we went over. Some people just hated this, although again, it's a minority of people, it seems. Most people either really, really loved it or loved it, but had a little bit of criticism, it seems. And again, let me know what you think in the comments. The other point of contention is all these people trying to compare it to Super Saiyan, which we're going to talk about now too. First of all, some people are just memeing around, so there's that. Second of all, some people are just trolling, trying to get either side of the fan bases, DBZ and One Piece, upset. Third, there's like the actual genuine discussion, like what's better, Super Saiyan reveal or Gear 5? And that's specifically what it is. It's not like what form is better, although I guess some people are talking about that, but most people seem to be talking about like the reveal or the episode itself. Well, first of all, you know, Super Saiyan happened a long time ago, so there's that. But I think it's kind of silly to compare. I'm a giant Dragon Ball fan. I've been a fan of Dragon Ball since I was like 5 years old, like DBZ specifically, but still. And I'm a much more recent fan of One Piece. I just got into One Piece like 6 years ago. So still a pretty decent amount of time, but nowhere near like freaking DBZ fan since age 5, you know? Dragon Ball Z has just been a huge part of my life. But the point is, though, I'm getting at is I'm a giant DBZ fan, and I freaking love Super Saiyan. But I also love Gear 5. I thought Gear 5 is awesome in its own way. I love the Joy Boy thing. Love how he's all happy, and it's like he's freaking awesome, but it's also like cartoony and kind of memey and funny. I love that. I think Super Saiyan and Joy Boy are awesome. And it's kind of sad seeing some people getting so mad at other people. Like, I've seen some people be like, Gear 5 sucks, Super Saiyan is awesome, One Piece fans suck. And then conversely, I've seen people be like, Super Saiyan is awesome, Gear 5 is lame, One Piece fans suck. And like, to me, they're both sick. And also, they're both different. They're like awesome and sick in their own ways. The other thing I want to talk about is this other hot point of contention where a lot of people are saying that Gear 5 Luffy would stomp current Goku. And some people think that current Goku can't do anything to Gear 5 Luffy. Like, his attacks just wouldn't work, apparently. So here's my opinion on that for anyone curious. I think current Goku would still, like, pretty much stomp Luffy. Maybe that's a little hyperbolic. I don't know if he'd stomp him, but it seems pretty reasonable to say that he would. But I've seen, like, a lot of tweets talking about this stuff, being like, oh, yeah, like, current Goku can't even hurt Luffy. And it's like, well, can he? I mean, again, I'd have to reference something that happens in the fight, but it hasn't been shown in the anime yet. The Luffy versus Kaido fight, Gear 5 in the manga. All I'll say without like spoiling people is, you know, Kaido's not a pushover. He puts up a pretty good fight. That's all I can say without spoiling people. But yeah, based off how Kaido does against Gear 5 Luffy, I gotta say, I think current Goku would be able to take Gear 5 Luffy. The other thing people I think mistakenly say sometimes is like, or mistakenly assume rather, is they think just because like Luffy, rubber, means he's like invincible. And it's like, well, no, you know, rubber can break. It doesn't mean he's like completely invincible. And someone with as much power as Goku, I think, would be able to press Luffy pretty hard, potentially like even do enough damage where the rubber's not going to be good enough. And there is actually a whole other topic I want to talk about on this as well, which is a hot point of contention. And that is like, what exactly is the Gear 5 power? Some people are split on this. Some people are saying, here's like the two most common things I've seen so far. There's one side that says like he's just straight up has Toon Force now. And the other side says it's more of like an expansion of his, not like a domain expansion, I don't know, but like an expansion of his Devil Fruit, in the sense where like other characters' Devil Fruits were able to affect the area around them when they were like awakened, so to speak. So potentially that's what is happening to Luffy. Like he can just make things rubber around him. And it's not like Toon Force, but other people say it's just Toon Force, as you know. So let me know what you think about that one. That's also, like I said, a pretty hot point of contention. I'm curious to see the opinions on that. For me personally, I think I'm like somewhere in the middle. I don't know if he has like Toon Force on the level of like Bugs Bunny or like the Roadrunner or whatever, you know, like these sort of characters. But he does seem to have like some level of Toon Force, in my humble opinion at least. And that's based off the things Luffy does, not even like the sound effects he used in the fight, because that could be an indication that he has Toon Force, but it could just as much also be a reference. You know, a lot of Japanese people like referencing other things, which is awesome. I think it's cool when they do that. Usually they do it with respect, and they do it in a really like cool way, so it usually works really well. But the point is, they could just be referencing like Looney Tunes and like, you know, Western cartoons with the noises, or they could legitimately be like a hint towards his Toon Force. But regardless of the sound effects, I'm just pointing out like his actual actions to me would indicate that he does have some level of Toon Force, just maybe not as much as like a Western cartoon character, for example. But now I'm kind of being redundant, so let me kind of wrap this video up. And I did mention I was going to like just straight up tell you the two scenes I was talking about earlier. So I'm going to do that now. Here's the spoiler warning. Again, 3, 2, 1, spoilers for Luffy Kaido fight. So the two parts I'm talking about, if you didn't already get the memo, was the part where he turns freaking Kaido into a jump rope. I still can't believe he did that, bro. He just starts jump roping with Kaido. It's so crazy. Oh my gosh. Imagine being Kaido in that moment. You're like, ain't no way this is my life right now. This is not really happening. Straw Hats turned me into a jump rope. Like, it's so funny. And then the other scene I was talking about that's just freaking awesome. Luffy literally grabs lightning out of the sky and does gum lightning. It's like, I was like, that's crazy. Obviously, the rubber grabs lightning. You kind of get it, I guess. But still, the fact that this man was able to be that fast and that accurate, he's grabbed lightning out of the sky and throws it at Kaido. Yeah, I thought that was freaking sick too. So I'm excited to see that in the anime. But yeah, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in the comments.